Welcome to the Family Builders Podcast. No matter what our family dynamic is, we can all use some help from time to time. Our hope and prayer is that this podcast is a help and a blessing to you each and every week. And now our host, Pastor David Moore, and co-host, Pastor A.J. Harold.
Hello, fellow builders. Welcome to this week's episode of the Family Builders Podcast. This is your host, Pastor David Moore from Lakeview Baptist Church in Newcastle, Oklahoma. And joining me, as always, my good friend and faithful co-host from high atop the Hollywood Hills in the beautiful palatial Crystal Studios, Pastor A.J. Harold. Brother Harold, how are you all this week?
Hey, we're doing well. Just finished 30 days of church at the time of this recording. And so I am praying to be a better steward in the month of October. So I'm looking forward to see what we do with this quote unquote extra time that we found in October. So looking forward to it.
Amen. I tell you, I can see great benefits to having church literally every single day for any period of time, whether it's 7 days or 30 days or 365 days. But I can also see as a pastor what that would tax on all the other stuff that has to be done. And so we'll be continue praying for the Harold family and for the folks at Solid Rock Baptist Church. And we would ask our listeners if you would pray for our churches and for us as we minister to them, but also as we minister to you in this through this podcast. One of the ways we do that is with a weekly Builder's Tip. So, Brother Harold, I believe this week it is your turn for the Builder's Tip.
When I was in high school, I got to play high school basketball. And I believe I was a freshman, maybe a sophomore. And I learned this tip. Here's the title of it: Play till the end of the game. And so we're playing in a game, we're down 1 point, we have the ball, our coach calls timeout, and he designs a play for our point guard to shoot a three-pointer. If he makes it, we win. If he misses it, we lose. Well, I was tasked with taking the ball out. So I pass him the ball, and instinctively, even though the play wasn't for me, I ran to the basket. Our point guard shoots a three for the win. He misses it, but because the horn hadn't gone off yet, I jumped up, tipped it in. We won the game at the buzzer. And as a family, just because things aren't looking well, the game isn't over. Continue to play even if you don't have the ball, even if the play wasn't for you. You're part of the team. Keep running the play. Continue to hope that there's time on the clock and you play until the horn. And so since I did that, even though no one told me to do that, it was instinctive that, hey, the game's still going. I'm going to run to the basket. I was able to tip it in. And so parents, sometimes we think, well, the shot's up, I'll just watch. Don't watch. Keep praying, keep working, and play until the horn.
Amen, Brother Harold. That's a great builder's tip with the idea of the shot at the horn. You know, I've seen a few basketball games in my day, and a lot of people don't realize this because of my height. But the good news is I went to a very small Christian school. And in fact, my senior year, we finally had enough students to have a basketball team. If you're not familiar, you only need 5. we had 6 whole students to have, or male students to have a basketball team, and so I got to play high school basketball my senior year, and I never had any great shots at the horn, but you know it was. Anyways, it was fun, and I really appreciate very much that builder's tip, and I know our listeners appreciate it as well. I also want to remind our listeners about our sponsor. Midwest Christian Academy is a full-service homeschool organization. They provide everything from diagnostic testing to identify any learning gaps your student might have, all the way up through academic projections and transcripts. And upon completion of the full course of work, your student will receive an accredited high school diploma. This accreditation is extremely important when getting into college or trade school or the military or whatever direction your life or their lives would take. So go to MidwestChristianAcademy.com, see what they can do to help your family with your homeschool needs. Do good by your students and give them a Christian education. Do great by your students and enroll them in Midwest Christian Academy. Remember to use the code BUILDERS on the referral line and receive a 50% discount on the first year's registration fee. All right, well, Brother Harold, I want to get into this week's topic. And this week's topic is one that I know you are very, 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 very familiar with. Are you ready?
I am. Let's hear it.
All right, I want to talk about being an influencer. I was talking with my adult daughter the other day, and she was talking about someone in the news, and I said, "What is that person? Why are they even in the news?" And she said, "Well, Dad, they're an influencer." And I said, "What does that even mean?" And she said, "Companies pay this person to talk about their product or to wear their clothing or whatever, and then they get other people." I said, "So you're telling me that other people will go a place or buy a thing or wear a clothing just because this person does it, and there's nothing else about them except for the fact that they get paid to do that?" I mean, they're not like a sports figure or a celebrity actress or actor or a musician. They just talk about stuff they get paid to talk about, and other people are like, "Oh, I'm influenced to do that." She said, "Yes." I said, "I forbid you to ever be influenced by anybody like that." The idea of that takes my rather old-fashioned brain and just boggles the mind, Brother Harold. An influencer to get paid to do something like that. But I will say this, that's the day and age in which we live, unfortunately. And so since people are going to be influenced, can you think of a better influencer than a family influencer, Brother Harold? I want to talk today. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying I can't. The impact of the family literally impacts everything you see, whether it's the neighborhood they live in, the areas and stores they shop in, the businesses they work in, the churches they attend, the schools they go to. Every impact or every piece of society is impacted by the family. And so influence is a big deal.
Absolutely. And the idea of being influenced or being an influencer, I mean, I want us to impact culture. I want us to impact society. Most of all, I want us to impact our local churches. But before we can do any of that, Brother Harold, you and I have to impact our family. We have to be influencers within our family. You have to influence your wife. You have to influence your 6 daughters. You have to influence your 6 sons. I have to influence my wife. I have to influence my 3 sons. I have to influence my 2 sons in law. I have to influence my 2 daughters. I have to influence my 3 daughters in law. I have to influence all 7 2/3 or 3/5 grandchildren. I have to be an influencer in my family. You have to be an influencer in your family. But Brother Harold, do you realize Alden, your youngest, is also a family influencer?
No, I agree. Yeah.
That's not frightening. That's not frightening at all.
I do have to share this. I have to share this. We had family devotions this morning, and the question was posed, how do we show our appreciation of the Lord and to the Lord? And he said, we show it by loving our mom. And I was like, oh, you win. You win the day.
Yeah. Wow. What did he do that he was trying to make up for? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we haven't found out yet.
That's great, though. That's awesome. Yeah.
Let me say this too. I often jokingly say that I don't have a platform as an influencer. I don't have a platform,
Mhm.
but I do have a stepping stool. And so
Oh,
we all are influencers.
now I'm going to argue with you.
Uh-oh.
This is the first, listeners. I hope you're ready. Brother Harold and I are going to have a knockdown, drag out, bare-fisted fight. Here we go.
I'm raising the white flag
You
right now,
you do have a platform.
the size of a stepping stool.
No, no. Your platform is as large as you make it. He's thinking. But listeners, you can't smell the smoke, but he's thinking about what I just said. Go ahead, take your time. Let me help you here. What do I mean by your platform is as large as you make
Go ahead and answer.
it? 2 years, ladies and gentlemen. 2 years we've been doing this podcast. And this is the level of professionalism we have. And I'm just kidding, of course. We're not arguing, but the fact is, I do think we make our own platform. You know, Alden probably doesn't think about being an influencer for the family, but I wonder if Andy or Alex, they're kind of in that middle spot, the youngest of the olds, but the oldest of the youngs, sort of. I wonder if they ever think about being an influencer. I know my kids. I can think back to times where they didn't think about it in terms of I'm going to be an influencer, but they thought about it in terms of I want the family to go in this direction, whether it was a time of stress and they came up with an idea to alleviate stress, whether it was a time of vacation planning, whether it was a time of financial tightness where we had to all pitch in together, however it was, and they came up with a way to help the entire family. And it would have been easy to say, "Yeah, you're just a kid, shut up, get out of the way." I mean, wouldn't say that obviously, but to have that mentality. But instead, they kept at it and they made their platform by making their argument, if you will. They made their platform big enough that they became the influence to help the family go in the right direction. Brother Harold, you and I think of it as the father, the head of the home, right? So our influence is pretty well set. We say it, they do it, or there's consequences, right? I mean, that's what we've trained our children with. That's what I mean. We don't do that with our wives, of course. With our wives, we talk about things, we make decisions together, but it's still, to some extent, we're the leaders. We have that platform. But my point is, everybody in the family can be a family influencer. We think an influencer, makes you do something. No, an influencer just has influence on you.
Right.
We're careful with who our kids play with because other people can be influencers of our family. We as adults, we're careful who we have friendships with, who we bring into our homes, because outside influences can have an effect on the family.
I do know, and I often say, you are or soon will be who your friends are. And I learned that in Bible college. You are or soon will be who your friends are. And just a side note, it actually was you are or soon will be who your friends are and what you read in the newspaper and what so times have changed a
Yeah,
little,
yeah.
but anyway, you are or soon will be who your friends are.
Absolutely. And I just want to point out to our listeners, Brother Harold and I aren't arguing about this. We this is how we sharpen each other. One of us will say something, the other one may not just agree with it, and so we'll make a counterpoint and we talk about it. It's not arguing, it's how adults are supposed to have conversations. That may be lost on a lot of people these days, but anyways, I just want to point that out. But I want to take you to the book of Proverbs, Brother Harold. Whenever we talk about wisdom, whenever we talk about experience, about knowledge, as Christians, a lot of times we'll go to the book of Proverbs. And I want to take you to Proverbs chapter 1, where Solomon writes this, my son, and this is verse 8, my son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother, for they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head and chains about thy neck. And so Solomon is telling his son, hey, son, get your influence from your father and mother. Okay? An ornament of grace upon your head, chains about thy neck. And those things represent beauty. Those things represent stature. Those things represent high moral character. Those are things that would have been evident that if you had those on at the time, an ornament of grace on your head, chains about your neck, that would have been a sign that you were being goodly influenced by your parents, by your family. But then he says this in verse 10, my son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, come with us, let us lay wait for blood. Let us look privily for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them up alive as the grave, and whole as those that go down into the pit. We shall find all precious substance. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in thy lot among us. Let us all have one purse. Solomon says, look, some people are going to try to be influencers of yours and try to get you to do wrong. Verse 15, my son, walk not thou in the way with them. Refrain thy foot from their path. It's almost as if Solomon is saying we can choose who influences us, Brother Harold.
Right, absolutely.
That's an interesting point. In other words, family builders, if you allow evil influence in your family, it isn't anybody else's fault but yours. I'm not big on boycotts and protests and things like that. I mean, I believe in the power of the voice of many. I do believe in that, but it's just to me things like I was just reading in the news this morning. There's a streaming service that a bunch of people are upset about a program on the streaming service to tell everybody boycott that show, boycott that channel, that streaming service. And somebody commented on the news story and said all these people saying boycott it are going to boycott it until the next season of their favorite show comes on. And I thought, wow. I remember back a couple years ago, a well-known coffee company that charges $25 for a cup of really bad coffee. And that's kind of their shtick. Everybody knows who I'm talking about, probably for legal purposes. I can't say their name, but they came out very strongly in favor of some pretty bad things like abortion and trans stuff and things. A lot of Christians were like, boycott them. And then it was pumpkin spice season, and all of a sudden nobody cared anymore. I'm not big on that whole thing because the only way that works is if you make the boycott forever until they change, not just until you get tired of doing it.
Right.
But I do believe in the power of turn it off.
Yeah.
I was counseling this is a couple years ago now, and they came to me, they were very concerned. They said, our son is being bullied, and they had their son in public school. And I said, well, first thing I would tell you, get your kid out of public school. And I don't care where you're at, and I don't care what your situation is, to save your cards and letters, it doesn't matter. Get them out of public school. Period. Feel free to disagree with that all you want to, but I will go to heaven completely set in my mind and in my heart that I'm at peace, that I did my job to warn you. Get your children out of public schools. There are no redeeming factors to the public education system. Your child will be better off in a homeschool or a Christian school or some methodology where they're getting a Christian education than they will ever be in public school. And I don't care about the finances. I don't care about, we are from a small town and all of our teachers are great. The system is rotten. Get your kid out of public school. But anyways, this family had their kid in public school. He's being bullied. He's being bullied at school. He's being bullied in after school sports. He's being bullied in all these things. And I was talking to the parents and I asked them some questions, and it came down to, because I was like, where's the coaches? Where's the teachers? Where's this person? Where's that? And they said, well, it's happening online. And I said, well, hang on a second. What do you mean it's happening online? They said, well, he'll be in a chat room with some other students, or he'll be in a group text with some other players of the team, and he'll say something, and they bully him online. And I'll be honest, Brother Harold, I just sat there in shock, and I said, does your son have unfettered access to the internet? And of course, they had all the excuses. Well, he has to have that. That's the day and age in which we live. And if he doesn't have that, how's he going to be able to do this? How's he going to be able to do that? And I said, well, how's he going to not be bullied? I said, let me ask you something. If you went and just turned off the computer and unplugged it, what happens? And they said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, what happens? Do the bullies call him on the phone then? They said, well, no. It's okay. I said, what happens if you take the phone and you turn it off and you put it away? Do the bullies come to your house? They said, well, no. I said, so it sounds like we have the answer. You just have to remove those influences from your son's life. And you know what they said? Well, we're not willing to go to those steps, those lengths.
Wow.
That's not what Solomon said when he said, my son, walk not thou in the way with them. And then he went farther and said, refrain thy foot from their path. Let me take you to another place in the book of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 4. Verse 14. Enter not into the path of the wicked. I think we probably all agree that's a good policy, right? Tell your family, don't enter the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Okay? And most of us, that's where our instruction to our kids begins and ends. That's the path of the wicked. That's the way of evil men. Don't enter it. Don't go in there. Stay out of there. But then Solomon goes farther. Avoid it. Pass not by it. Turn from it. And pass away. 4 steps of exclusion. Number 1, avoid it. Don't go anywhere near it. Number 2, pass not by it. If you have to be in the area, don't be walking back and forth past the entrance into the path of the wicked. Turn from it. Don't look at it. Remember Lot's wife, her problem was that she looked back longingly at the sin. Pass away. Get out of the influence as quickly as possible. If we're supposed to have our kids in a godly influence in our family, in our home, in church, and we're supposed to have our families out of an ungodly influence, then Brother Harold, everybody in that family ought to take responsibility on themselves. Parents, older kids, and even younger kids, to be an influencer of their family, to not enter the path of the wicked, and to have the ornament of grace and chains about their neck of listening to their father and mother. And you don't even get paid for being this influencer, except you get the eternal rewards. And Brother Harold, I would even say one more thing. Not even just being an influencer about, okay, let's not go down this sinful path, let's go down this righteous path. Obviously, we ought to do those. But even just being an influencer of family spirit and of happiness. My family, all of my adult children, my wife and I are adult children. 2 of them live here in Oklahoma with their spouses. And then we have one in Texas with his spouse and their kids, one in Michigan with his spouse and their kids, one in Wisconsin with her spouse and their kids. And so we're kind of spread all over. So we have a family chat page thing. I'm not sure how you describe it, but we had this family chat where we could text each other and message each other, and everybody sees it. And we send funny memes and gifts and all the things, and just have we sometimes just have a great time. Sometimes we'll set up a time. We did this recently where we just do a video call on this family chat, and everybody who can joins in, and we just all sit and laugh and talk and just have a good time. But the other day, my daughter shared a little video of her daughter, and she was singing a Sunday school song. Her daughter's not even 2 yet, but she was belting it out, man. She was just going to town on this little Sunday school song. It was really cute. I was having kind of a rough day before that, but boy, that just changed my entire spirit. I thought, wow, to have the happiness of a 2-year-old singing, Jesus love is bubbling over, I mean, and she's just loving it. And I thought, why can't I be that happy? Oh, well, that's simplistic. No, it's not. That's a real question. If I'm not that happy about Jesus love bubbling over in me, it's because I've made a choice to be influenced by the wrong influencers.
I have two thoughts. One, merry heart doeth good like a medicine. And so anger is contagious, but
Yeah,
joy is contagious.
it's
And
true.
it comes down to our theme word for our church this year is choose. And we get it right out of Joshua 24:15. Won't read the whole verse, but bottom line is Joshua said, if I can use my own words, he said, church in the wilderness, we have to make a decision. You could
Yeah,
serve God or you could serve the idols. But he said, in my words, before you say anything, I want you to know, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I'm letting
absolutely.
you know, no matter what you do, I'm not going to let you and your decision influence me. We are going to serve the Lord in this house. Now, if you want to join us, that'd be awesome. Kind of that other story where they put the line in the sand and they said, hey, come over here or what? Choose, choose, choose. And so everyone is both an influencer and influenced. And so we just need to choose the correct one to be the
That's
right
a
influencer and then
yeah. That's a
obviously be
great point. That's a great point. Where you're either the influencer or you're the influencee. Wow, that's a whole nother level of conviction right there, huh?
but it does stem from choosing as dads, as moms, as
Yeah,
family builders. We
yeah,
we do have to, and sometimes, like you brought up already, it is tough to say we used to do this, but I'm going to pull in the reins, and we're no longer going to do this thing that we've done for 5 years, maybe 10
right.
years. I know you've had a phone since you were 10. Now you're 13. But honestly, son, honestly, daughter, if I could go back, I would have never given you that at
Yeah,
10. And so that is difficult, but we're trying to encourage our children to give us and ultimately God their heart. And so there has to be times of recalibrating, of
yeah,
remodeling, of renovating and going back and in love telling them, I know you used to, but I'm growing in grace and I want to encourage you as my son, my daughter. These are conversations that we have to have. And, they're being influenced by someone or something. And so
absolutely.
we've got to steward that.
Brother Harold, the influence we have on our families has an extension later on when our kids grow up, they become adults, and the influence we had on them, then they are able to influence their families and their churches and their culture and society. My middle son, he was the middle. He was the middle child, but also the middle of the three boys. So, he was always very cooperative, very hardworking, and everything. But he was real shy. He was real quiet. It wasn't shy like slinking along the walls kind of shy, but he was just not as outgoing as his older siblings. So he got a job when he became a teenager, working at the same place as his older siblings, and he got kind of frustrated because people would say to him, "Well, you're not anything like your brother. You're not anything like your sister." And I told him, I said, you don't ever have to walk in somebody else's footprints. You make
Right.
your own tracks in the world. And I would tell them that all the time. And I would tell them, and I'm proud of you for who you are. I don't want you to be like your older brother or your older sister. I want you to be you, and I want you to be the you that God created you to be, and I'll be proud of that. Fast forward a few years, and last week, Brother Harold, my wife and I got to go down to Texas and watch him get promoted to sergeant in the police department where he works.
I like it.
And I had this thought: he has made his own tracks.
Yeah, it's good.
Every drug dealer he's taken off the street, he's influencing. Every child molester he's arrested, he's influencing. And whether your kid is a police officer or in the ministry or in business or blue collar labor, doesn't matter what they're doing, they're going to be the influence that you influenced them to be. Well, Pastor Moore, my kid's 5. Let me tell you something. Alden's not going to be 5 forever. Someday Alden's going to be 25.
Right.
He will be the influence that his family was to him. Well, that's all the time we have for this week, Brother Harold. It's been a good talk, good discussion. I just want to point out, by the way, did you come to an agreement with me? We make our own platform?
Yeah, no. So now I have to explain why. No, we 100% make our own platform. I think we were speaking a different thought. We
Yeah.
definitely make our own platform. The size of it I was referencing was how many people will we influence?
Yeah.
And after listening to you explain with this podcast, to be honest, we'll never know that number this side of eternity.
That's true. Yeah.
And so, yes, we definitely build
And you're
our own
right, because you were
platform.
talking about number of people. I was talking about amount of influence on the people we're influencing. So we agreed anyways.
Absolutely. We did.
Yeah. Amen. That's
We
why we're
did.
friends. Well, listeners, now you've gotten a good look behind the scenes at what goes on in the friendships of Pastor Moore and Pastor Harold. But if you really want a great look behind the scenes, I want to remind you, coming up October 6th, that is, today is the 1st. We're recording this on the 1st. This will play on October 4th, which is Saturday. So if you're hearing this on Saturday, you have 2 days to get to Los Angeles, wherever you're from, whether it is by Pony Express, whether it is by stagecoach, whether it is by airplane, whether it is by boat, whether it is by car, whether it is by semi-truck, whether it is by motor coach, however you can get to Los Angeles, California by 7 o'clock Monday night, October the 6th, you'll be able to experience a live recording and broadcast of the Family Builders podcast. Really, we want you to be there if you can. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll have a good time. I think we're going to have some door prizes for folks. You don't want to miss out. I mean, it's going to be some really cool stuff. We're going to have audience participation. You could later on hear your voice on the podcast if you're selected to do that. I mean, it's going to be a great time. We're going to have a lot of fun. And afterwards, we're going to have some singing, and then there's going to be preaching for the conference we're at. So we're excited to have the live broadcast of the Family Builders podcast. This is in celebration of 2 years. We're so thankful for you, our listeners. And I'll tell you what, Brother Harold, let's do this. Let's see how many people have listened this far. We're not going to announce this on Facebook. This is the only time it's going to be announced. If you hear this and you cannot make it, I mean, you're a missionary to, somewhere deep in the heart of the Soviet Union or something, and you listen to these broadcasts, in the middle of the night, very quietly, so as not to get arrested by the secret police and sent off to Siberia. But you would really like one of those door prizes. I'll tell you what, all you have to do is send an email, familybuilderspodcast@gmail.com, with your name, your address, and the first one that I get, the first one, so it'll come sometime after Saturday, they'll win one of the door prizes.
I like it.
How's that? All
Hey,
right.
I'll even double it. How about the first two?
All right. You got it.
You
The
want them,
first
I'll
two.
do one.
All right. All right. So if you are listening to this, don't think, well, somebody else probably already did. Your email may be faster. It's the first one we get. That's the one, or the first two, I should say, is going to get a door prize. So make sure you participate. If you can be there, you want to be there. If you can't be there, send us that email. Let's see if we can get you a door prize. We thank you for listening. We love you all. We're praying for you. And Brother Harold, why don't you go ahead and take us out?
Sure. Thank you for listening to the Family Builders Podcast. Please subscribe and share this week's podcast with your friends and family. Also, if you have any questions for either of us, please do not hesitate to email us at familybuilderspodcast@gmail.com. Who knows? Maybe we'll even answer your question on one of our future episodes. Until next time, Family Builders, never let up.